Alright, so here we are with game number 2 between BratOK and Socke. We can see this time we are on Terminus RE, and yes, we do here in the right hand corner have BratOK as our red Terran player, and here on the far left is Socke as the teal Protoss. So we are in a best of 3 series between these two players. Socke at the moment having the advantage, up 1 game. If he wins this game, then he will, of course, we will be moving on to game nothing, because he would be taking 2 games out of the 3 series. However, if BratOK manages to pull out a win, then we will be moving on to game number 3. Congratulations, Forrest. You just explained how a best of 3 series works. Great job. So, yes, again, game number 2 here between BratOK and Socke. Looking forward to see how this one plays out. Terminus RE, another favorite map of mine. I love it because it is large and in charge. Yes, it is. Making for long and macro-focused games. And those are fun to watch, they are fun to play, and they are certainly fun and exhausting to commentate. But either way, they aren't quite enjoyable. So let's hope for yet another macro game. I just knocked on wood. So there we go. Actually, I don't even know if this is real wood. I got a kind of a shitty desk. I'm going to try to upgrade. But anyways, yes, here we go. Barracks coming out here for BratOK, riling that Marine here a little bit to the bottom right, and then straight forward right into that supply depot. Actually, if he runs into the supply depot, he may knock himself out. That would be embarrassing. Socke over here, macroing up super hard. No gateway yet, so guess what is happening? Socke is going for a fast expansion again, and we may very well see the same type of quick expansion from BratOK as he did last game, which will be a 1 racks into expansion. And look at that, still no refinery, so that is of course incredibly telling to the fact that yes, he will in fact be coming out with a 1 racks expansion. Also moving out right now with his SCV scout, we'll be heading across the map. Let's see what direction he decides to go in. What is he doing, meandering around? Oh, there's he dropped down a little bit of that depot and then was kind of dancing around because the SCV hadn't realized that this depot was lowered. Back over here, Socke moving straight across, and he actually will be scouting out BratOK's base right away. Let's take a look at where that SCV is going. Looks like the SCV is going up first to the top position, so it will be a couple more moments until he realizes where Socke is. Now Socke now coming down with that gateway. There is that assimilator. Again, that expected expansion that did get dropped before the gateway did. Back over here, 1 Marine target firing down that probe, and that probe is a goner. See you later. Marine just needs to cut this corner over here, and the probe is gone. And this is one of the unfortunate parts of trying to scout out a Terran player early game, is that once that first Marine is out, if they catch you even momentarily by surprise and they know how to micro that Marine back and forth, and your scouting unit is gone. There's no chance of escaping with some proper micro if you get caught off guard just a little bit. Second gateway getting dropped from Socke just in case he had to deal with some early aggression, and then finally coming out with that Cybernetics core here, assimilator, getting up that Vespene gas. He will, of course, have enough now to start that warp gate research the second that Cyber core does finish. Here comes the SCV scout, and the SCV scout, unlike the Protoss player, does not have to deal with that early ranged unit and can dance around that early game Zealot and get a nice full scout of the Protoss player's base. So he sees there's that second gateway. He sees the Cybernetics core also checking that gas. Obviously, a great indication as to whether or not Socke was trying to tech really hard right after going for that fast expansion. If you saw the second assimilator right now, you would want to keep an eye out for a Stargate. Some sort of Void Ray player harassed is quite possible and could be pretty frustrating to deal with. Here comes a Stalker being chrono boosted out. We do have 1 Zealot on the board already. He is heading across the map. Unfortunately though, with this amount of Marines, not a whole lot he is going to be doing. We can see BratOK now finishing that expansion, turning it into an orbital command, and also churning out units here out of these 4 barracks. Still no gas, going super Marine heavy, and this is actually quite fine. One build that I did play around with quite a while on the ladder was going the 3 racks fast expand with no gas for quite some time, relying just on bunkers, Marines, and SCVs for mass bunker repair for early game defense. And it was a pretty solid build, and it works pretty well. It has its weaknesses like any build, and here we go, Zealot moving forward to try to engage, but no, not going to be able to. Forced to push back, and unfortunately losing quite a bit of those shields as well. We do have 1 Stalker at the tower, second Stalker moving across the map as well. I'm not sure if he is going to try to push forward and actually engage. We can see BratOK staying in his main base, and we'll just be working on some continued saturation of that main before he pushes out. He does of course want to wait till he has enough units to push out and defend himself properly. Stalker's moving around to check for that expansion. Zealot is heading back home. Stalkers do need to be careful about engaging those Marines though. They're going to get a few free shots, soften up those Marines, but will he be losing the Stalkers as a result? Looks like he will be losing at least 1, and Bye-bye. Stalker gets dropped in the second one, cutting the corners there. Just barely able to make it out of the range of those Marines. And what is he doing? Please head back home. You don't want to lose that Stalker as well. So there you go. Already BratOK taking a little bit of an advantage. Stalker getting a couple shots here. He will be able to kill this Marine if he stays, but no, for fear of losing the Stalker, he's heading back. And this is a massive Marine push. At the same time, finally dropping that expansion and dropping down a third as well. BratOK going super expansion heavy. Stalker gets taken care of. And here comes that Marine push. Now let's take a look at what Socke has. Socke sitting now with a few Stalker sentry there as well. There is the Zealot. Is it going to be enough? There are a lot of Marines streaming across the map, and this does have the potential to do a bit of damage. Nice force field, letting that Zealot catch up and do a bit of damage, but is it enough? It doesn't look like it. Another Zealot getting warped in, and yet another Zealot getting warped in. Again, those Zealots able to do a lot of damage there, and a bit of micro should allow him to deal with those. There we go, and now is he going to take down the Stalkers? He's got a great opportunity. He's already dropped down one. Is he going to get the other one? No, a couple more Zealots getting warped in again, and looks like this push has been stopped here, but a lot of losses for Socke. Let's take a quick look here. Look at that. BratOK, again, definitely at the advantage. This early aggression proving to be quite effective for him. He did a lot of damage. Who cares if he lost the Marines overall? Socke took much heavier losses. He was even forced to stop mining for a little while, and that's, of course, very frustrating as well. Socke now sitting with some units. He's going to be able to defend if we do see any continued push. Here's that bunker placement. So, again, going to be relying on these bunkers for some early game defense. Finally grabbing some tech labs here, are allowing him to produce some Marauders. But no, he is, in fact, sticking with those Marines right now. He does have that stim pack coming out. I would really like to see Combat Shield come on through as well, but just those Marines with those bunkers is actually enough to defend. He's not too worried about a heavy counterattack just because he does know that with that first push, he did a ton of damage. We can see Socke moving into his third, so just as I was hoping, just as I expected, macro heavy game, that's what we are going to be seeing just because this map lends itself to that type of play. And look at that, third bunker as well. So wow, that's pretty funny because that's exactly what I talked about before it even happened. And no, I didn't pre-screen the game. I'm not an idiot. I wouldn't do that just to make myself look good. I don't pre-screen games ever because it is much more enjoyable for me to see it for the first time as you guys see it. So there we go, a couple Zealots moving across the map. They will of course be used to grab these towers. We do have this one Marine spotting this tower. Can he see that Stalker over there? No, he cannot, just barely out of the vision of there. So unfortunately with one tower, you cannot actually see the other towers. That would actually be pretty neat if they actually did incorporate that, allowing you to see what was over there. Back over here, Socke's expansion just about up. He does have the level 1 upgrades coming on through. Now sitting on 6 total gateways. A Robo is in, so let's see that Observer be produced and heading across the map for some scouting information. Back over here, what will we be seeing from BratOK? As we would expect, looks like Marine Marauder will be the name of the game, starting off with some double medevacs here as well. Should be seeing that second one pretty soon as he has that 100 Vespian. Come on, do it, do it, do it. No, just the one. Wow, just sticking with the one there. And yeah, okay. Anyways, back over here, double refineries going down. He does have that third up and running. Now, he got that third up much quicker than Socke did get his. And let's take a look at how they are economically. Looks like BratOK is eking out with a slight advantage. Let's take a look here in terms of units. 48 as opposed to 57, but those mules definitely helping quite a bit there as well. Go ahead and drop that down. So yes, I'm expecting macro, and that is what we are going to be seeing. Factories, in fact, going to be scouting for some expansions, again, with that Marine Marauder and Viking medevac build. Factory units don't really come into the mix. You might say, why not siege tanks? Siege tanks are cool. Yes, they are, but they are so immobile, and it is very hard to deal with that Protoss army, especially with Colossus in the mix. When you have those siege tanks, they're just way too immobile to actually be that effective, and they're not really worth it. And that's why you are going to see most Terran players just go Marine Marauder, medevac, and then throw some Vikings in there. Ghost, of course, very effective as well. And that, again, that's basically what you see from a Terran player in TVP. Now, we do see this small little push, also a few Marines and Marauders moving right behind that as well. They will be moving here into the third. Now, how is this response going to come from Socke? Socke, now aware of this, scouting that out with the Observer. He knows to respond. Which side is he going to hit? Looks like he will be hitting that backside. Now, we do not have any Colossus in place, so just these gateway units, some good force fields, trapping some of those units. Very nice, but one problem now is that he has got all these Marines and Marauders in his third. They can do a lot of damage, and he cannot push on them because of those force fields, so let's see what they do. Dropping down that one pylon, and not much more else damage is going to be done. He is, in fact, going to be lifting off these units and heading back because he knows at this point can't really contend. Factory will just be chilling right here. Observer is scouting that, so we may actually see some Stalkers sent over there just to actually drop that factory. I mean, why not, you know? BratOK over here with a 4th expansion, and if he gets this up, well, he will be sitting in a very nice spot, simply because of the fact that, well, Socke is still just on these 3. Now, it really depends on what Socke decides to do. Looks like his mid-game plan is the same as last game. Charge Zealots coming through, level 2 armor upgrade, but the thing I'm focusing on here is the Dark Shrine for some Dark Templar, and that, of course, Robotics for Colossus. Colossus is very necessary in this matchup. Here comes a drop, though, moving across the map. At the same time, we are seeing some aggression push out right now. Socke moving across the map with what he has. Obviously, still no Colossus on the map, but once those DT come into play and he starts churning out those Colossus, he does have an opportunity to get some surprise attacks in and do a bit of damage. Back over here, just basically keeping up that Marine Marauder production, finally transitioning into Vikings for the expected Colossus, and here comes the drop, and let's see how effective this is going to be. We do have an engagement, no, never mind, actually pulling back to the main base to try to deal with the drop. 3 medevacs filled with Marines and Marauders can do a lot of damage, sniping down some of these buildings. Probes forced to pull down to actually try to help engage with this. Now, what is he going to target fire down? He's got a great opportunity. At the same time, he's pushing here on the 4th expansion of Socke, and he will drop it. Drops that Robo Bay as well, and that is huge. BratOK taking out that Robo Bay is a gigantic win for him. Will he pull back in time, or is he just going to keep his units here? Looks like he is just stimming back and trying to do as much damage as possible, staying in the base, and look at that. These Marines and Marauders do tear through those gateway units quite effectively. Look at the Marines and Marauders here pushing down into the 3rd expansion as well, and, you know, Socke has already lost his 4th. He is in a lot of trouble trying to pull down with some probes as well as those Charge Zealots to deal it, but the fact that he hasn't had Colossus to deal with these units is one big major factor in the fact that he's just taken heavy losses from this. And again, some more stim going down, taking out these units, and then picking things up, pulling back home, and wow, Socke doing a lot of damage. Let's take a look here at the unit loss tab. Resource-wise, BratOK way ahead, taking much less losses than Socke has taken, but forget about resources. The fact that he lost that bay, look at this, he's got unpowered gateways over here, losing that Robotics bay as well, forced to just come out with Immortals because he doesn't have it, losing the Dark Shrine as well. He is recreating that. I am pretty sure that I didn't miss anything. If I did, I'm going to be very, very upset with myself, but I don't think there was any DT harass as a response there. It doesn't look like anything actually took place, so that was nothing but win for our buddy BratOK. BratOK just did a tremendous job there, doing a little bit of damage here to this 3rd, but sniping that 4th, stopping that from going up, and then sniping those tech buildings, huge, dropping, so effective. If you're a Terran player and you don't drop, you need to start, you need to get on that. Moving forward with that Viking to do some scouting. Viking actually sitting down on the ground over here. Here comes an engagement, but again, without those Colossus, he will have a very hard time dealing with this Marauder heavy force. Now, of course, those Immortals do pretty well, but if BratOK just stims up and targets those down, he'll be okay. Lifting off, he will be waiting for some reinforcement. No, not even, screw that. He's just got to drop in the main. Forget reinforcements. I'm going to drop in the main, he says, and this is going to do a bit of damage. Now, the Dark Shrine is just about finished, so let's see if that gets in. If he can warp in some DT, he can, of course, deal with this. And are those DT? Not is they. Are those DT? No, they are not. In fact, just warping in some Stalkers. DT, again, would have been good, but no DT. Stim going down. Again, doing a bit of damage, just microing around, and this is a huge problem for Socke. Socke needs to return with some sort of damage, but he hasn't been able to. Just forced to defend himself this entire time. Medevac chilling over here, a couple units getting dropped over here, trying to do a bit of damage there as well, and just consistent aggression from BratOK, and look at how effective it has been. Unreal. One more look at that unit loss tab. Again, huge advantage for BratOK. Socke just not up to par. He has just not done enough damage. That is the problem. He hasn't been able to respond. He's been on his back foot this entire time. Now, I am seeing some DT getting warped in, but where are they? There they are. I don't think, I didn't see any proxy pylons. Those are just observers. This is just an observer as well. So he will have to send those DT straight across the map, moving down to engage with some of this bio, trying to do a little bit of damage, but actually got healed up instantly. And then Stim going down, dropping 1 DT. Will he get the 2nd? No. Just out of the range, so now he knows those DT are coming, so I will expect some turrets to get placed down, or just saving up some scans. But here comes the engagement. Marines and Marauders pushing forward, stimming up, and they're going to do so much damage to these units again. They're still just hasn't had the time to build Colossus, and that's been his major issue, going with some scans to try to get rid of some DT if they were there, but mopping up all of the army. And then where are those DT? Have they even pushed into the main? I don't think so. Socke just calling the GG. Game number 2 on another macro-focused map, and as a result, we saw macro-focused openings. Quick expansions coming from both player. Socke going with that fast nexus, and then we did see BratOK start with that 1 Rax into expansion command center. Making a ton of early game barracks and coming out with no refinery, so as such having a lot of early minerals, we were able to see a heavy marine push from BratOK, and this actually ended up doing quite a bit of damage. We're going to see him pull forward completely unupgraded marines, but still the DPS is nuts. He was able to tear through these gateway units, chopping down those zealots before they actually got in and were able to do too much damage, and then target firing down some of those stalkers as well. As a result, this was very frustrating for Socke, and he was actually forced to stop mining temporarily at this expansion. During that early push, BratOK got up some defenses at the front of his base and also came out with his third expansion. And then after defending the push, we did see Socke move out with his expansion as well. But as you can see, Socke's expansion much more delayed than BratOK's. At about 13 minutes, BratOK moved out with a push, breaking down these destructible rocks and then moving into the third expansion. Now what happened here was Socke was actually able to get a nice force field, deal with a lot of those units, but then that blocked him out from actually being able to deal with these Marines and Marauders. So as such, they were able to stop mining and kill off a couple of pylons as well. BratOK then followed up the harass at the third by pushing across the middle towards the fourth of Socke, but at the exact same time dropping in the main, and this did so much damage. He was able to actually take out this robotics bay, which is huge, and it was a huge problem for Socke. And also, another big issue for Socke is that he ended up canceling that Dark Shrine as a result of dealing with this pressure. During that drop in the main, BratOK's push across the center of the map with his Marines and Marauders also forced the cancellation of this fourth expansion of Socke. With his fourth cancelled and losing his robotics bay, we saw that Socke was not prepared economically or in terms of unit composition to deal with the continued push of Marines and Marauders from BratOK, and that is what forced the GG. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you have enjoyed this. This was game number 2 in the best of 3 series. We are of course now tied up 1-1, and we'll be moving on to game number 3 in just one moment. As always guys, if you like the content, please subscribe to the channel. Keep watching and keep owning.